Part 7. Number 9. George Lucas ruins the lightsaber and the Force all in one scene. Now all you geeks love the lightsaber, but the question is why? Well, a lightsaber is an otherworldly device. It's pure fictional awesomeness. It can cut through anything, even my ex-wife. Lightsabers also transform the Jedi into a kind of superhero. It's just a neat weapon. I mean, everyone wants one, and everyone wants to film themselves with one. So much it's gotten kind of annoying. However, like anything that's cool, if it's used too much, it becomes boring. Except for cocaine. Luke used his lightsaber pretty sparingly, but when he took it out, you knew he meant business. That was probably because they didn't feel like doing the special effect for it so much. So again, the limitations made it cooler. But now in the prequels, things got out of hand. Maybe George didn't really know how to create and develop engaging sequences without having someone flash out the lightsaber. It's the very first thing that happens in episode 1. We can't go 5 minutes without them taking out the lightsaber. They do it when they hear a noise, for Christ's sake. Could have just been some kind of industrial accident that happened in the cargo bay. Don't you guys feel like fools now? Almost every scene requires the use of a lightsaber. Now I know they're Jedi and all, but I just kind of equate this to dangling a shiny object in front of a cat. You gotta try to keep the audience interested in the scene if it's not working, or if you don't know how to make it work. I actually like the scene the best where they all try not to get eaten by the monsters in the arena, because we see them doing things without the fucking lightsaber. It adds some tension. But then we can't go, oh, no, don't give it, oh. Now they got him again. What, they bring extra ones? Then them kids got him. This guy, robot guy's got him. You can't go too long without seeing a lightsaber. Lightsabers. Everyone's got lightsabers. What's lightsaber? Lightsaber.
Oh, it's you.
But then my annoyance with the lightsaber goes even further than its overuse. It eventually becomes impractical in its own universe. Now you gotta really stop and think about this for a few minutes. Now the only reason why they had lightsabers from the beginning was because knights of the olden days had swords. It was kind of in the same way Star Wars was basically just like World War II in space. So Jedi Knights were like space knights. It's just a gimmick. The problem is that a sword is made for a 6-foot tall humanoid. But when you establish a multiracial Jedi Order that all use the same universal weapon, it becomes impractical. Each Jedi should really have their own unique weapon suited for them personally. For example, that one guy that looks like a squid, with all them tentacles swinging about. A lightsaber could really pose serious injury to his head. Be careful. Or that guy in the background with the really tall, thin neck. I know what I'd swing at if I were fighting him. Or what about this clumsy fat asshole? What if he just happened to be a Jedi? His big fat hands and his slow lumbering ass would fucking get killed by Darth Maul. Then you got that guy with no legs. How's he gonna get in a laser sword fight? And then of course Yoda. He shouldn't have had any lightsaber at all. But, despite all his wisdom and knowledge, Yoda eventually has to take out a tiny baby-sized lightsaber and fight a guy 3 times as tall as he is who has a much bigger lightsaber. My problem with this is that Yoda has a handicap based on his physical limitations, when his character should be above that sort of thing. Yes, I know they both tried to do more advanced things first, like throw rocks at each other, but even in other instances, Yoda has to make up for his size when using a lightsaber. One time he throws a lightsaber at a dude because he can't reach him. He's got to jump all the time. It must be tiring.
Size matters not.
Oh, I'm sorry, Yoda. It does. It does if you use a lightsaber. All your wise sayings have been ruined in the prequels. I'm so sorry. So in this scene, he flips around the cave and bounces off the walls because he's so small that he can't reach Dooku. My question is, if Yoda can do this, and they're basically pretty well matched as far as their use of the Force goes, then why wasn't Dooku also flipping off the ceiling too? Or what if Dooku just happened to be a 19-foot tall Gorgon with a 12-foot long lightsaber? Yoda would get squished like a bug. My point is, if you can match your opponent's skills with the Force, you'd then better also be physically strong too. And this goes against everything that the Force is about. You see, Yoda was so magical and interesting because you didn't expect this little tiny creature to be a Jedi Master.
Jedi Master?
We all had a preconception that a great warrior would be someone physically strong and intimidating.
I'm looking for a great warrior.
By making Yoda a little guy, they were illustrating that the Force is something beyond the physical. But by showing Yoda fight with the lightsaber, it ruins all that because it takes that concept and those rules and throws it in the dumpster, right next to Bambi. You see, I'm not even sure if Lucas actually understands Star Wars or anything that happened in The Empire Strikes Back.
We've seen him, but we've never actually seen him fight. This will be the first time you actually see him pull out that little laser sword of his and go to town.
Yeah.
So that's something that everybody's waiting for.
He just kind of seems like a retard that wants to see neat things happen with this computer. I don't know if he understood what made Yoda magical, and how making Yoda fight contradicts the entire mythology of the movie. More dumb kids. One of the greatest things about the original trilogy was that we never saw any children. I think one might have ran by the camera in Empire, but really no kids were involved at all. No irritating child actors, no cringe-inducing line delivery by kids that are obviously the children of the producers. None of that crap. But now we gotta see more kids. It's almost like Lucas thought he needed to have kids in the movie for kids to want to buy things from the movie. Like they would all want to be little Jedis themselves, just like in this scene. Imaginations work differently than that. Kids would want to play as Han Solo or Luke Skywalker, or want to be Lando blowing up the Death Star. No one ever wanted to be Gorban Zuma.
Because someone erased it from the archive memory.
Or that twerp. But we're forced to sit through another shitty scene that makes no sense. This one's bad enough because it's got 30 kids in it, but it's always bothered me for a lot of other reasons. Okay, so the scene is Obi-Wan seeks Yoda's help in finding Kamino, because it ain't in the records. He interrupts Yoda teaching a class or something. Right off the bat, this scene ruins the uniqueness of being trained by Yoda.
Was I any different when you taught me?
Now it's like a crowded public school or something. Then all the kids are wearing these stupid helmets and deflecting lasers shot at them by a floating ball that Luke used in the original Star Wars. Now call me crazy, but I always just assumed that Han Solo had a helmet there just lying around. You know, because he was a pilot. One with a blast shield down to protect your face from like space radiation or whatever. And since they were all playing games in the game room, I just kind of assumed that that ball was like a game or some kind of target practice thing. Kind of like Obi-Wan devised some kind of makeshift training exercise while they were killing time. But I guess it's an official training device for young Jedis. Are we supposed to believe that he had one of those training balls in his chest all those years and brought it with him? Why would he have that? I mean, is that really all they could think of to have the young Jedis do in that scene? Is something borrowed from the original movie? I mean, do we have to rely on the original trilogy so much for nostalgia imagery that we have to take this too? Can't you come up with anything new that's memorable? Boy oh boy, is it hard to articulate in words how stupid this scene is. I mean, everybody's standing so close to each other and they're barely moving their swords. But, like, they could easily cut one another, right? I mean, why aren't you doing this in a really large gym where everyone can spread out? And aren't they a little young to be handling lightsabers? I mean, look how clumsy the kids are holding them when Yoda's standing like 2 feet away. I don't know, this doesn't make sense to me. Also, I was always under the impression that the Jedi constructed their own lightsaber as a kind of rite of passage. Are these like training lightsabers? Maybe they get to use the ones from the adults who died before they can make their own. That was listed in the brochure that the parents read called, So You Want Your Child to Become a Jedi. Also, the point of this scene is that a child was supposed to propose the idea that someone deleted the planet from the archives.
Because someone erased it from the archive memory.
Wait, that was the best take you got from him? This was an idea that Obi-Wan hadn't considered, and it came from a fertile young mind. So basic movie-making logic suggests that you construct this scene where a handful of perhaps slightly older students are being taught meditation techniques to sharpen their thought process. That's when one comes up with the new, simple approach. That would at least have something to do with the Force. But instead, it's just another excuse to have a scene with lightsabers. Enough with the f***ing lightsabers. But we gotta stick with the logic that these movies are supposedly made for kids. And some kind of thoughtful meditation scene would be too boring. If we got a scene where all these children hold lightsabers, the kids will love it. After all, these are just simple movies made for kids and not adults at all, which is why they have assassination attempts, sexual innuendo, decapitations, kidnap, torture, and suggested rape, hookers, boring political dialogue, forced amputations, drug dealing, mass murder.
Don't try to escape like the other one! Time to go in the refrigerator!